Hello and welcome to this edition of A Conversation With. My name is Jim Marshall from the New Bedford Cable Network, and joining us in studio today, Michelle Hantman. She is the President and CEO of the United Way of Greater New Bedford, longtime CEO and President. Thanks for joining us. I know it's a busy time for you.
Thanks for having me.
Obviously, you're in today to talk about the situation with the coronavirus and how New Bedford is being affected and what have you. Tell us a little bit about, right off the start here, how the United Way has been impacted by the coronavirus.
Sure. So right away we had to start making some plans to figure out how we could make sure that our employees were safe, but how we could still be responsive to our clients and to the different constituents that we serve. So it's been a little bit of a two-folded approach for us. We made some changes right away to make sure that people had the tools and resources they need to be able to work remotely. And that's easier for some than others because we are a unique United Way. Not only do we raise funds and do that sort of work, we also run some of our own programs.
I was going to say, you've got a lot of programs that I'm sure are impacted and are probably really needed right now.
Yes, they are. But some of our programs are actually funded by the state, and so they really dictate some of what we've had to do and put in place. So for example, our Family Resource and Development Center, while it's technically not open to the public, our family support workers are still working and they are still meeting with clients via Zoom or via just the phone. And they're still doing their work to provide their clients with the resources they need to get help or to navigate certain situations that they're in right now. And then the Hunger Commission has probably been busier, I won't say busier than ever because the holidays are such a tremendous effort for the Hunger Commission, but right now we certainly have seen an uptick on the pantries being busy. And it's our role as the Hunger Commission to continue to provide food and make sure that they're stocked, which isn't quite easy at this point in time.
When you look at this, certainly something like this, unprecedented, planning for this, I mean, it's almost difficult, especially in your business, as it were, because there's so many different, as you said, programs that you have. A lot of times I don't want to say it's short term, but as you're getting your resources in, it is short term.
Yes.
Is it difficult, or have you found it difficult to plan down the road here?
So to answer that 100% honestly, we are making it up as we go along and we're doing the best we can. There are some things that we've put in place, and before the ink dries, we have to change them because the information is changing so rapidly. We're all getting the same information from the governor, from the mayor, from healthcare officials, and so we're trying to keep abreast of all this and to adapt as needed or tweak as needed. So we are doing the best we can with the information that we have at hand.
As you were saying, I mean, something like Christmas you can plan on,
That's right.
down the road, but this is just, it's got to be so difficult from your standpoint, and I assume the programs are still functioning right now. Right,
so food pantries right now are functioning, but not all of them remain open. There are some that have closed indefinitely for the time being, such as St. Anthony of Padua on Acushnet Avenue, MO Life. But PACE is, of course, seeing the strain of that because now people that were probably being served at some of these other places are now turning to PACE and the Salvation Army. So some of the other sites are busier and some are closing. But food pantries are still up and running if they want to be, and it is still something that people can access even with the closures.
Is it hard because of the one-on-one contact that you have to be careful dealing with the public?
Yes, so the pantries are each kind of taking that on their own, just like restaurants are. The ones that are still doing, the takeout service, some are setting up tents outside, some are putting lines on the floor, some are putting certain measures in place for volunteers or their staff to interact with clients. So the pantries are making their own modifications for how they can serve people, and that varies from pantry to pantry.
I'm assuming, as you talk about the need being great, you just mentioned your staff and I would assume volunteers. How are you doing people-wise? Do you have enough people?
Yes. So as far as the staff, the team is intact, and we're working kind of round the clock and putting in a lot of extra hours to keep up with the information and to try to stay ahead of this and to try and do our best to serve our donors, our volunteers, our clients, the programs that we serve that rely on us for resources, whether that be food or money or just technical assistance. But it's just changing so quickly. this is really something else.
I was going to say, just for you personally, based on your experience, because you've done this for a while now, this is just uncharted for you, and is there anybody you go to for advice or what have you?
So I would definitely say that, this is uncharted territory. The fortunate thing is because we are a member of United Way worldwide, and let me just tell you what that means. So we are an independent 501c3 that is governed by a local board of directors made up of volunteers. So everything we do is local. Everything we do is about serving Greater New Bedford, and that's the city of New Bedford and the 8 surrounding towns between Dartmouth and Wareham. However, because we are part of United Way worldwide, that means I have, 1,200 plus brothers and sisters, if you will, that are doing the same type of work as I am in their respective communities. And over the years, I've made wonderful relationships with these people. So my phone is not just blowing up locally. I'm hearing from my colleagues across the state, across the country. And then, of course, we are getting some direction and some guidance from United Way worldwide. So I certainly feel supported in that sense. And I'm trying to do my best to take that information in and then see what we can do with it here on the ground in Greater New Bedford.
You mentioned that you go from Wareham to Dartmouth or whatever.
Yes.
Are you seeing, are there different needs by community that you're seeing, or is it really the same wherever you go?
Sure. Well, that's changing every day as well, right? So I can tell you that one of the first things that I think people were most concerned about when this really started to grow rapidly was around kids getting their meals, right? Because we know that so many kids, especially in the inner city and in low-income communities, we know that kids are relying on free breakfast and lunch provided at school. But there are other communities within our footprint that, the income levels don't require that same sort of, the school is not stepping in that same way. And then that means that some people are doing some grassroots efforts. So for example, in the Tri-Town, there's an effort to raise some dollars to get something going to make sure that kids are getting what they need there. And so, that's kind of the differences that are happening community. I think, what we are going to find is that the people that are ultimately affected by this, by having to not be at work, this does not discriminate against anybody. So it doesn't matter what your zip code is. If you are a waitress or you're working in, the hospitality industry, or you're a barber or a hairstylist, you're out of work right now. And it doesn't matter if you live in New Bedford or if you live in Marion.
How are you, because a lot of times, there's not a lot you can do for people just by the circumstances, but yeah. I would assume the stories that you're hearing right now are heartbreaking in a lot of ways.
Yes, so we put out a survey, which is available on our website and through our social media pages. We also have many of the local nonprofit organizations that are sharing it with their staff and with their clientele for us to really just kind of gauge, what people are experiencing, what the emergent needs are. And I've been looking at those responses on a daily basis, and it's really, it's sad to hear what people are feeling and what they are most concerned about in the current state, as well as what they are fearful about, in the immediate future as things continue to develop and increase. So, this is something that is affecting everybody in our own families and throughout each community that we serve.
I would assume that changes even on a daily basis as well, what you're reading.
It does. It does, because as information comes in, right?
Right.
And some of it people are still trying to process. Well, what does that mean when we hear the governor say that there is assistance available for some small businesses, or we hear different things? There are still people on the ground, and I'm sure you're paying attention to social media as well. We're trying to really understand, well, what does that mean for me? What does that mean for my work? What does that mean for my type of business? And I think some of these things, are not fully explicit at the moment. So we all have to remain patient, and we need to just do the best we can.
What would you say is the best, if you had to tell people how you could help them right now,
yes.
or what would the United Way, if people are struggling, they need help, what is the best thing that you guys could do for them?
So that will depend on what their situation is. So if it's food that they are in need of, then I would say you need to be aware of what food pantries are open and where you can go on any given day. And I can tell you that back at the office, we are working remotely, but we're answering calls all day long. And I spoke to my administrative assistant this morning, and she said the majority of the calls that we've been getting have actually been about those inquiries, people wanting to know, where do I get food?
Yeah.
So I think that is something that people need to know, that we're a resource. We also have that information available on our website. And again, others are sharing this information pretty rapidly. As far as other needs, where we want to hear from them. So we ask that they fill out our survey so that we can know what it is that they need, so that we can be trying to get that information out there. As well as this unfolds, we're trying to raise money. So, we set up a fund, and we are hoping that we are engaging the public. Some of those that maybe are not so adversely affected by this are still feeling mobilized or inspired to contribute to something. And we're hoping that we can quickly be turning around those funds to assist people with lost wages.
Tell us a little bit about Help United, which is something that was announced recently
Yes.
by the mayor and you.
Yes.
And this is a big effort to try to help people, I guess in a lot of ways, really.
Yes. So even that, I would say, I'm going to give you all the information I have, but that continues to be refined almost on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. We are so pleased and happy to have the mayor's support and endorsement of this. The technical name of this is the Help United Greater New Bedford COVID-19 Response Fund. So we are calling it the Help United Fund for short, because it is a mouthful. But we are hoping to raise dollars, and we are also following the lead of our other colleagues across the state. Similar funds have been set up in Boston, in Worcester, in Brockton, in other communities where United Ways are taking the lead and doing this sort of thing to raise dollars to be able to have them available to help people. The way we're thinking that we are going to work on this to get the dollars out will probably be twofold. We will work with some of our nonprofit partners to help identify the people that will best fit this and need the resources. And we might also be doing some of this on our own as well. We do have some experience doing this. This is kind of unique for United Way to be doing that directly, but we do it annually with a program called Holiday Wishes that we've done for several years now in partnership with Town Square Media. So we're thinking we could take the same type of protocols and the same procedures that we have in place to be able to do that for people through this. And what that really means is people don't get direct assistance, right? So you can't just come and say, here's my case, this is what I need, give me money, right? There will be a process where this is vetted and this is, made sure that it's a legitimate request. And then we are not giving the dollars directly to John Smith. We're giving it to, the utility company. We're paying the mortgage bill.
I was just going to say, what
thing.
sort of things would the money? You mentioned mortgage or rent,
Yes.
Utilities.
So those are the types of things that we think we're going to help. It's going to be
I was thinking childcare right off the bat.
right.
I don't know
So
how that.
childcare is on the list. Housing, basic needs, right? So if people are not getting what they need through those pantries and they might need food cards and that sort of thing, then we're probably going to be flexible to providing that type of support. I will also say that we're working on the Hunger Commission side. Hunger Commission is mainly about food, but we are having some discussions with some other organizations about how we might be able to broaden that to maybe add supplies like diapers and wipes and formula. So that's not completely tightened up yet, but we might do that with the Hunger Commission through our pantry partners as well.
And it's hard, I would imagine, because you do this every year anyway with the annual campaign
Yeah.
that helps your programs
Yeah. Right.
on a daily basis just without this.
That's right. So, not going to lie, we are definitely going to our same, base of supporters and saying this is different. This is an emergent situation, and the dollars that you provide us year round supports the work that we do year round and supports that work. Like the Hunger Commission or the funding that we provide to other health and human service organizations. But that's really not what this is about. This is about keeping that intact and keeping that afloat while also and additionally raising additional resources to assist those with these emergent needs. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that, there are other funders that are coming together around this. We're partnering with the Community Foundation of Southeastern Mass. They're likely going to be supporting organizations around their organizational capacity. A lot of nonprofits have been slammed with having to cancel their fundraisers. This is golf and gala season for a lot of nonprofits. Right. And so organizations that rely on that type of support to keep their doors open and their lights on and their operations going are also going to be hurting. And so the Community Foundation is mobilizing some funders to help on that end. So what we're saying is Community Foundation is going to focus on organizations, United Way is going to focus on the people. But there are some entities that we're going in and we're asking for dollars together from some of our leading financial institutions as well as from some of the local family foundations. And hopefully we're going to be successful, but times are tough for everybody right now, including those.
We're talking to Michelle Hantman. She is the president and CEO of the United Way of Greater New Bedford. From the United Way, from your standpoint, do you help, and I'm just for clarification of the people who are watching, do you guys fund or help other nonprofits? Because you are a nonprofit.
Yes.
Is that how it works, or when you say that, or is it more helping just individuals?
Sure. So traditionally, the United Way has several RFPs that we run throughout the year, right? And we raise our dollars, and then we are making grants available to other nonprofits to run programs. We have strict criteria that they have to align to, so we don't just fund any health and human service organization. You know, we have certain target issues that are the ones that are top priority for us within the realm of education, health, financial stability, and basic needs. Organizations apply to us to run programs that align to these areas. And so the majority of our work year round is really about supporting organizations to do that type of work. What we're talking about right now is a little different, and the program that I alluded to earlier called Holiday Wishes is also an example of another way that we are helping not just organizations, but we're helping people directly. So that's why I mentioned that, and I see this being more similar to that.
How is the response right now off the bat for you been? It's I think the announcement, was recently, so
That's right.
I know it's a long term, but
It is.
Are you getting a good initial response?
So we are, what I think is great is that we are seeing people coming out of the woodwork, names that we're not familiar with. So people that aren't our existing base of donors that are already contributing, that are feeling compelled to give because of this. So, it's my hope that they are responsive to this, and maybe in turn they will be longtime supporters when they see their dollars being put to great use. But so far we've raised about $16,000. The reality is I don't know what we're going to raise. Are we going to raise $250,000? Are we going to raise $25,000? The sky's the limit on this. We're not going to put a goal, because what we want to do is just raise as much money as possible and get it out as quickly as possible. But gifts are coming in anywhere from $25 to $1,000 via our text to give, which is amazing, right? I was surprised that people were texting to give $1,000, but that really shows a lot about the generosity of people and what they're willing to do to help others. And we're also seeing gifts online, and checks are coming in the mail. So it's pretty steady. And my hope is that it is going to continue to grow as we continue to promote this and spread the word with opportunities such as this one.
And tell people again the ways that they technically
Yes.
how they can help.
You got it.
You mentioned mail and whatever.
Yes, so people can certainly visit our website, which is unitedwayofgnb.org. And on that website, they can, right front and center, it's going to have all the information about this fund as soon as you get to our homepage, and links to give. If people choose, they can also text Help United, all one word, to the number 313-131. So Help United to 313-131. And people can give however they want. It really doesn't. We don't have a preference. We just want to see people supporting this and spreading the word. We've also seen people do their own Facebook fundraisers, which is a great way to generate money around your social network. So I'm not even counting that actually in the amount that I just shared with you, because we don't have a correct tally of that right at the moment. People are raising, $25, $300, depending on how successful people are. I've seen several of those happening as well.
What about are you getting younger people to help too? I mean, just because that's really a untapped, I guess, demographic that you might.
So I'll be honest with you, we don't really know how old our donors are.
Yeah.
So I don't really know the answer to that question. I will tell you that I have seen, even just personally, my own friends reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help? I feel like I should be doing something. And we've been talking about what types of maybe virtual volunteer opportunities we could maybe promote or set up. And so stay tuned on that, because I think that that's an opportunity that the more we're home, the more we all have to get creative in how we can do our part and how we can contribute in some way. And I think that virtual volunteer opportunities are something that could really resonate with younger people, or certainly young professionals that, maybe they are working from home, but they need a little break and they want to be part of something bigger.
Yeah, you see the communities, and again, you're dealing with all these communities too, and the needs are, like you said, are so different at different times and different places.
Yes, and it's changing.
Yeah,
every hour.
But that's got to be the hard thing. I mean, as you look at the United Way now, from your standpoint, I guess I don't want to say that your role has changed, but it kind of has. Something that you probably, not you, but the board and everybody just didn't expect.
This is true. I will say that, we're not strangers to emergency response. I think, we're all in such unique times, and I don't think this has been unprecedented for everybody, right? So certainly it's just made us really reflect on how we can truly be more responsive to the community and relevant to the community, which is a question that I think we ask ourselves every day when we do our work. That question is more pertinent than ever because our job is to mobilize people, resources, partnerships to meet the needs of the community. That is our mission, and that means so much more today than it did even a week or two ago. But we do see ourselves as kind of the in-between of a lot of sectors, right? We're also working with our corporate partners who are saying, what can I do to help? Of course, I'm saying, please write us a check and do what you can financially. And for some of them, that's easier than others. But, companies like Sid Wainer, we got a wonderful communication from them recently where they have a lot of food that the Hunger Commission is going to be able to go get, pick up, and make sure it's getting to the pantries that are currently open, and in turn getting to people that need it.
A lot of the programs that are participating with that work with the United Way too, I mean, they deal with people who are falling through the cracks that aren't aren't necessarily needy by the true sense, or I guess by the definition of poverty, but they're the ones that are fall through the cracks, really.
This is true, and I think what makes this situation so unique is if you think about it. I was having this conversation with a colleague recently. People that are receiving SNAP benefits or are already in subsidized housing, or people that are receiving benefits, in some ways they may not be the ones that are in the most at-risk situation in this current time because a lot of their supports are still in place. But the people who are, part of that gig economy, or people that are, in hourly wages, rely on those tips to provide for their families and to provide, to keep the house going, that don't know how to navigate those support systems, don't qualify for those support systems up until now, they're the ones that this is going to be a trickier time, right?
Yep.
They're not the ones that usually need help or ask for help or even really know where to get help. So this is really just all kind of a whirlwind for everybody.
And I was going to say, just what you said. I mean, those are the people who've never asked for help, and they
That's
probably
right.
don't even know where to go.
That's right. But we've seen people that normally are people that are participating as providers to us, right? Oh, I'll run a drive to collect goods for you, and now they're the ones that are having to close their business. And it's my hope that in time we can show them that we can hopefully support them or their employees through the work we're doing.
I know we're running out of time. I wanted
Sure.
to ask, because you were talking about when you announced the drive, you also talked about Mass 211.
Yes.
And about questions and answers that people
Yes.
might have. And why don't you talk a little bit about
Sure,
that?
happy to. So Mass 211 is something that's been around for probably about 12 years now. And it's a national effort, but it is done state by state. And it's a number that is free, confidential, available 24/7. They have 140 languages available within minutes. Of course, their call volume is up exponentially. I mean, the numbers are crazy that I'm seeing. However, people are encouraged to use that phone number instead of calling 411 or 911 or the local health departments or the health system and burdening those places with questions. So people that are looking for information on where do I get a test, or I was recently traveling and what should I do, or people that just have questions in general about health and human services, food pantries, daycare, things like that. 211 is that resource. I did hear just recently that South Coast Health also launched their own helpline, and that's specific for local residents that have concerns about potentially, whether or not their symptoms could be COVID-19. And so they are working at a very grassroots level to navigate local people that might have concerns that they or their loved ones might be affected by this. 211 is more of, a general inquiry for more general information.
The one thing that I've seen here since the epidemic has become so prevalent, obviously, recently, is that the organizations that are working together. I mean, the hospital, the city, there has been a spirit of cooperation. Not that it doesn't exist, but it really is to the forefront right now.
I would say that's true. I would say, we work very closely with the city of New Bedford because we operate some programs in partnership with the city, especially with the police department, and those programs are still continuing. I got an update just recently where, I'm like, is this still happening? Yes, it's still happening. Chief Cadero wants it to continue. Okay, we're still doing it. We still have outreach teams doing that work. So I would say we all do work closely together, but I think if there's any good that's coming of this is that the people are now seeing how closely connected so many of these entities are working together, usually in concert, but usually in the background. And so, maybe that's kind of a silver lining. But again, just to go back to 211, we're really proud to be part of it. It's something that the Commonwealth and all the United Ways in the state of Massachusetts fund together to make it possible for the residents in Massachusetts.
So, as we wrap it up, I think for the people, the viewers at home to see, you guys are still working.
Yes.
110%, and
yes.
There's help out there for people. Really, that's
right.
the bottom line.
So I would say, in a nutshell, for the people that want to help, please give, please participate, and please do what you can so we have resources available. For people that need help, please let us know what it is that you need, and hopefully you can be eligible for these dollars that we're raising, and we can get them to you in your time of need. And then for the general public, we just hope that we can be a resource for people to continue to stay in touch with and be part of all of this together, because it's strength in numbers at a time like this.
Michelle Hantman has been our guest here on A Conversation With. We thank you for taking your time. I know everything is so busy right now for you, so we wish you luck in anything, obviously, that you guys need. Let us know here.
Thank you.
That's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you again soon.